Welcome to the Coach Debbie Potts Show, where high performers learn how to stop guessing and start aging stronger, not slower. Your host is Coach Debbie Potts, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, metabolic health coach, and host of this show. Here, we dive into the why behind fatigue, stubborn weight, hormone chaos, gut issues, and declining performance. Using real data, functional lab testing, metabolism analysis, and simple daily habits that actually move the needle. Whether you're an endurance athlete, an executive, or simply committed to becoming your strongest future you, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Coach Debbie Potts Show, where I am on a mission to help fellow middle-aged high performers, the driven, disciplined individuals who are doing all the right things, but yet you feel that your body is not responding as it used to. You train, you eat well, you invest in your health, you push through, but the energy is not the same. Your recovery feels slower. Our fat loss stalls, inflammation lingers, and your sleep doesn't feel as restorative. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you just wonder, is this aging? Is this what it's all about? Is this a new normal? I am going deep in these rabbit hole podcasts as we prepare for different guest experts on the show to talk, as today, about exosomes, natural killer cells, stem cells, mitochondria, and cellular aging. But this episode is not about chasing the newest biohack. I want us all to understand, is our body ready to respond? Because being fit and healthy from the inside out at a cellular level is not about doing more. You are already doing more. Sometimes less is more. And we're talking today about restoring communication. But I want to ground this personally for a moment. I have been there. I was training hard at my zone 2 training heart rate. I was efficient at burning fat. I was eating what I thought was the right way, clean, healthy food. I was eating a lot of protein and healthy fats and trying to time my carbs around the workouts. But I probably was doing too much fasting, too much fasted exercise, and too many OMAD days with my mornings being fueled by bulletproof coffee or fat coffee. Now, I thought I was checking every health box, but my body stopped responding. I wasn't having a motivational issue. I wasn't disciplined. It's more towards signaling. And this started back in 2013 when I thought I had what we called then adrenal exhaustion. I went from competitive age group, triathlete, marathoner, cyclist, endurance athlete. What I'm learning is that my system is very protective. And since then, I'm understanding more the role of my mitochondria, immune cells, and hormones that were responding to perceived stress, not my effort. I was doing a lot. Plus, I was running my own fitness studio, teaching clients all day, running group workouts, leading run groups. I was training for triathlons about 20 hours a week at a high level. And I was doing the business and all the stuff behind the scenes. I was just doing too much of everything. So I want to do an episode on talking about the signaling workout or workout network and understand what we are going to talk about with a guest coming up soon on exosomes and stem cells and peptides. I was trying to understand, okay, what is a signaling network? Let's dive into what is a signaling network. We're not just about muscles and our hormones or our organs. Signaling network is what I started thinking about. I kept hearing the word cell receptor sites and signals and communication. So let's think about our hormones, our signals, our neurotransmitters, our signals, Our immune cells signal, our mitochondria signal, and every workout is a signal. So our body's constantly asking, is it safe to build? Do I need to protect? When signaling is clear, we thrive. But when signaling becomes distorted through chronic stress, inflammation, overtraining, toxins, sleep disruption, our systems shift into defense. And here's the important part I keep trying to share. High performers often trigger this shift without even realizing it. Not because we're unhealthy, because we are stacking all of these stressors and overloading the systems. We've been taught about mitochondria are just energy factories, right? They create ATP, our energy currency, the powerhouses of the cell. But they are also, we've talked about, environmental sensors. Crazy that our mitochondria are able to detect oxygen, nutrients, inflammation, stress hormones, circadian rhythm, and they decide, do we build, do we repair and perform, or should we conserve? Do we need to defend? Do we need to slow down and go into low battery mode? And if you're 40-something, 50-something, 55, your metabolism suddenly feels restrained, this often is a protective mitochondrial adaptation. It's not only about your hormones changing. It's not only about getting older. It's not about a broken metabolism, slow metabolism. I am learning from you, my clients, and myself, my own personal journey, when our stress is chronic. I've talked about this for years, since 2013 when I had my own journey begin. And I wrote about life is not a race, it is a journey. Chronic stress versus acute stress. When we have chronic stress, too much of it, externally and internal hidden sources of chronic stress, our energy output drops down. Our inflammatory signals increase. Our fat loss stalls, our hormones are dysregulated, our recovery slows. Again, I always say this is not failing, it's your body's own intelligence. It's innate intelligence. If the signal never resolves, we get stuck in this protective mode. We've talked about cell danger response. Now, in the podcast coming up with Dr. Jeff, we talk about natural killer cells, how they patrol our body daily. It's amazing when you look into this. The immune surveillance team. And when I learned about the immune system, gosh, I think it was 2015 when I took the Nutritional Therapy Association program to be a nutritional therapy practitioner, functional nutritional therapy practitioner, where we do hands-on assessment. We learn a lot about the immune systems, one whole module. And you can relate the immune system to your Marines, the Navy SEALs, the Army. We have all these teams on our immune surveillance team. Now, natural killer cells eliminate virus-infected cells, abnormal cells, and early cancer cells. And this is what Dr. Jeff is talking about. Natural killer cells are our own internal surveillance team. But natural killer cells depend on mitochondria capacity. Another word I'm starting to hear more about, capacity. And if mitochondria output is suppressed, guess what happens? Your natural killer cell activity drops down. Inflammation increases, immune resilience weakens, and this is why middle-aged high performers can often feel more reactive, slower recovery, more inflamed, not just aging, it's more signaling fatigue. So as Dr. Jeff and I discussed, I feel that all these things that we know happen naturally as we age, if we can know about them, shouldn't we take ownership and do something about it and make up for that lack of creatine, the lack of collagen, the lack of amino acids, and how we're more anabolically resistant? What about our immune system and these exosomes and how they are part of our cellular communication system? Exosomes are microscopic communication packets released by the cells, and they carry proteins, RNA, and really instructions. They're not drugs, they're not messengers. They are telling us repair is here. They're telling the cells that we can reduce inflammation, we can activate the response system here. Their cellular communication system. If the receiving cell is in defensive mode, do you think the message will land? Advanced therapies can help amplify signaling. They don't override it. If your nervous system is still in threat, but if your blood sugar is also unstable, if your waste isn't clearing the body, no one's picking up the trash on the corner, the signal does not translate optimally. Tools cannot replace the foundations. So we want to always look at the train, your foundational approach that I work on with clients. As we work at from within, we're working on creating that foundation phase. Is your train ready to go to the next step? So when we look at stem cells, and we talk about this with Dr. Jeff, stem cells are raw potential. They support regeneration. They support to environment. In inflammatory environment, we want to look at, does our repair decrease if we're inflamed? What about oxygenated, stable, low-stress environment? The repair will improve. Now, stem cells do not fix this metabolic chaos happening at a cellular level. Stem cells will respond to clarity. So when we're creating your FutureYou Blueprint, the order of operations is what I'm working on with my clients. And when I work with Dr. Barry Sanchez from within, my job is to help create your blueprint. In phase 1, working on the foundation phase, or you could say phase 0, but before we do anything to start a program, we have a prep phase, foundation phase, right? So before you build the house, you need to have a good foundation poured out. We need to first make sure the safety is the master switch in your body. The vagus nerve is turned on to safety. You don't want to put the switch on to survival mode. So we need to work on the nervous system, because you should know by now, if your body perceives any threat, any growth shuts down. And we've talked a lot about how the lymph moves waste through how you breathe, muscle contraction, hydrated fascia, parasympathetic tone. If waste accumulates, inflammatory signaling is going to stay elevated. And the mitochondria require oxygen and stable blood sugar. And cells cannot regenerate in a toxic environment. So when the foundations are all restored, our mitochondria can increase output, our natural killer cells can regain surveillance strength, and our hormones can stabilize, our inflammation hopefully resolves, and our energy ideally returns. Then regenerative tools can amplify the progress. So when we talk to Dr. Barry about peptides, we're talking to Dr. Jeff about these stem cells. We need to understand, and even hormones too. We don't just throw them in the beginning. You need to build a foundation first, and that's what I do with my clients. So if you're 45, 60 something years old, you're driven, you're disciplined, you're still showing up, but your body doesn't feel as yourself. It's not your body. You don't feel like you're in the right place. You don't need to force more, is what I'm trying to tell you. You need to restore the communication. Being fit and healthy from the inside out, a cellular level, is what I say we talk about in this podcast. That means your mitochondria trust the environment they're in. Your immune system is proactive. Your nervous system feels safe. And your metabolism will respond, and your recovery should improve. This is your FutureYou Blueprint. And high performers love advanced tools, but tools do not replace the foundations. And there is not a therapy that will override a nervous system stuck in survival. The FutureYou Blueprint is not about adding more sources of stress, chronic stress. It's about restoring cellular trust. When we can clear the signaling, improve the signaling, get the communication working, your body knows exactly what to do. And as we talk to different doctors about regenerative medicine, I want you to listen to these podcast interviews through this lens. Advanced therapies are amplifiers. What I want you to ask yourself, is your cellular environment ready to receive the signal? So we need to understand, what are the signals? How do we know we are ready to add that in? And then we go to the next level and figure out next step. What is the order of operations? As a practitioner myself, I'd say a holistic health practitioner. And I want to know where you are. Where are you on your journey? How we need to personalize this program is not a one-size-fits-all approach. We want to lay down your foundation, but that may be different than someone else. We have maybe the same ingredients, but how are we going to take those ingredients and create it for you? We need to look at your genetics. I really love the new reports or new program I'm getting training from is 3x4, 3 times 4. I always forget what it's called. 3x4 genetic blueprint, and how powerful that information can go along with the blood test, hormones, your stool test, organic acids, food sensitivity. Really look at the whole picture. And we want to look at what should I do today to create that FutureYou Blueprint. And it's not taking another supplement, really. A lot of it's how you start your day. What are you doing during the day? What is your workout session? What are you doing in that workout? How are you moving every hour? What are you doing for your nervous system? So when we're creating the FutureYou Blueprint, it's not about chasing youth. It's not about reversing your aging. It's not about adding more stress. But creating the FutureYou Blueprint means we are building your body from the inside out, cellular level, starting with that foundation that is able to adapt instead of react, to recover instead of having these inflammations, syndrome, chronic diseases, signs and symptoms of metabolic chaos. We want to build you up instead of break you down. We want to improve performance without crashing. But this starts at a cellular level. We need to restore cellular trust. Before we can optimize, we need to stabilize. And your mitochondria need to feel safe enough to increase output of that energy, creating more ATP. Your nervous system has to shift out of this survival mode. Your immune system must stop overreacting. So we don't force performance. We restore conditions where your performance becomes natural. When we are able to improve the signaling, we can layer on. And that's going to vary for everyone. And understand what and when and where and all of that, it depends on you. And how to rebuild you from the inside out cellular level is going to be a different process, maybe for me. When we work on your strategic strength training program to preserve muscle, avoid losing muscle, and even my goal is gain muscle, how can time your protein to overcome anabolic resistance? How to improve your metabolic flexibility training, sleep and your circadian rhythm, how to repair that rhythm, mitochondria support, inflammation. Capacity is your buffer. So it's allowing how you handle stress so you can be more resilient and understand solutions for you that fit into your life, that you're able to commit to and be consistent with. And understand, again, it's not a magic shot or pill or medication prescription. I just saw a post from Dr. Gundry said prescription was to go play with a dog or get a pet, go walk and have some olive oil. It's just, we're looking for that magic pill. I did that for years. That's why it took me so long to get better until I moved in 2013 to 2020. I was probably one step forward, two steps back. I kept trying everything, but I was not really getting my body to feel safe and improve the signaling. I want to understand, we can test with Pnoe metabolism testing, see how your nervous system is doing there. In the resting test, we can see how you are breathing, how you are moving in the exercise test. But the goal is to get you to adapt and to be more resilient. We need to remove the extreme stressors, improve the nervous system with the breathing, the morning sunlight, getting fresh air. And I want you to work on that protein intake each meal and not excessive fasting. And more gentle workout may be better than a lot of intense workouts. And what are you doing for lymphatic flow and creating that movement throughout the day? When we have a lot of inflammation or chronic sources of excess stress, adding in high volume of training might not work right now. If you're trying this aggressive fat loss program or some 21-day reset, it might not work for you. It might be too much. If you're doing cold exposure too much, too long, or too much, any hormetic stress becomes a chronic stress. And mitochondria stacking supplements in high dose because we're trying to fix the mitochondria, it's not where we need to start. We need to start with your body saying, I'm safe, I'm ready. And when that body's on defense, we want to get that signaling to work. We want to layer in gradually. What is your workout looking like? Do we need less reps or more reps? Do we need to do more cardio in zone 2 at your peak fat max? Or do we want to add in some 20-second sprints with 2-minute recovery? I don't want you to do zone 3, but what do we need to improve your metabolic flexibility? What can we do with your exercise and nutrition timing? So that's what we do individually. Maybe eventually we add some mitochondrial support, but maybe it's starting with magnesium, creatine, CoQ10 I get from my organ capsules, PQQ if that works for you, a methylated B vitamin, omega-3 fatty acid we need. We want the body to feel safe so it can grow again. When we're able to add in more exercise, more strength training, periodized training, maybe some hot-cold therapy, some fasting, maybe once a month. 12-hour not eating, 12-hour eating is a great guideline, but not excessive as we did 16-8 all the time and then to 24-hour fast once a week. I think that's where we made an error for us that are already doing everything else. We already fit and healthy from the inside out. And we didn't need excessive fasting, as Rob Wolf told us years ago. Think about capacity. It's not built by adding more stressors. Capacity is built by matching your stress to your current resilience. If stress is more than your resilience, you regress. And that's what I feel I did for years as I get down into the nitty-gritty here. If stress is less than resilience, you stagnate. But if stress is equal to resilience and recovery, that's where we grow. And that's more precision. Remember, you don't need more effort. We don't need to add on more stressors. We need proper sequencing. We need to look at, are we stabilizing? Are we rebuilding? Or are we expanding? What are we needing to do right for you? Because doing the expansion work in the foundation stabilization phase just will create more burnout. The rebuilding capacity isn't about stacking on more stressors. It's about finding the right stress at the right time once the system feels safe enough to adapt. So I think about that when we're talking to different experts about peptides and hormone replacements and all the stem cells and everything we can do. I want to go back to understand how we work on creating the future you, working on that foundation approach. It's not a checklist, it's calibration. Restore safety, we open the drainage, we stabilize fuel, we reduce the noise. But we do it based on your signals. And that's how you become fit and healthy from the inside out at a cellular level. And that helps us create your FutureYou Blueprint. So everyone needs a foundation, but not everyone needs the same dose, intensity, or sequence. That's why personalization really matters. And your mitochondria are responding to your history, not someone else's protocol. And I think this is where a lot of people they start to struggle because they're trying to do someone else's program and not working on the right step 1, step 2, step 3 for them. So the FutureYou Blueprint isn't about being 25 again. It's about being stronger at age 55 than you were at 45. It's, to me, being clear mentally, more metabolically flexible, getting deep quality restorative sleep, having faster recovery from workouts, being less reactive in situations and more resilient. The future you is about adaptive capacity. And adaptive capacity is built through this order. If you are disciplined but stuck, if you are working harder but not progressing the way you want to, if you feel that your body is shifted into resistance, you don't need more pressure, you need more calibration. So I want you to listen to those signals, respect the body's innate intelligence, and we have the right order of operations. Personalize your foundation and rebuild that cellular trust. We keep saying this, and I keep hearing other people saying this, your body is not broken, it's protective. And once that protection resolves, that's where progress will return. So the future you is not built on adding more stress. Remember, we're restoring that cellular trust. And knowing what that looks like for you, I think is important. And how that's connected to what we'll talk about with Cynthia Thurlow, with Dr. Jeff, with Dr. Barry. I think it's understanding, these peptides are really cool sounding. I really want to try all those stacks. I really want to take some estrogen and progesterone and give me some testosterone. But I am diving into these rabbit holes because I see patterns of my clients not responding well to, say, hormones because we did not build the foundation. And how the foundation is built with that safetiness, but how that relates to bile flow, drainage, and connecting that all together to the flow method foundation I'm working on. The flow, the drainage, flow is needed. And again, the safety, we need to feel safe. Flow and drainage, you might hear those words. It's mechanical, it's biochemical, it's cellular, but we need safety. The nervous system needs to shift from this survival mode, sympathetic dominance, to parasympathetic, where the powerful healing part happens. The body allows movement again. Fluid movement, energy movement, bile movement, lymph, blood flow. Flow is what allows you to heal. It's not just about physical movement. Just summarize. Step 1, turn digestion back on, getting out of that sympathetic mode. Because survival, remember, the body prioritizes that immediate threat, not detoxing or digesting. When we restore safety, our vagus nerve, that vagal tone improves, your gallbladder contraction improves, your bile flow improves, and motility normalizes. This is not mindset, it's not neurophysiology, but we keep coming back in conversation, you might not get why I keep talking about bile flow. It's pretty brilliant. And I'll do a whole YouTube video on this. Again, bile is not just for digesting fats. It's your exit strategy. Because the bile is carrying out through your stool estrogen metabolites, cholesterol, environmental toxins, inflammatory byproducts, mold toxin, bacterial endotoxins. And if that bile is stagnant because you're not eating fat or because you have poor vagus nerve and it's not being activated and you have low stomach acid, estrogen recirculates. Inflammation will continue to be bugging you, and histamine burden increases. Your detox slows down. Your mitochondria remain defensive. And flow reduces the inflammatory signaling at the source. Drainage before detox. This is a mistake high performers make. People are starting to add binders, detox supplements, peptides, cold plunges, intense fasting. But without proper drainage, we have a problem. If bile is not moving, if the lymph isn't moving, if your bowels are not regular, you are just redistributing waste. And I see this in almost every client. This is alone increasing cellular threat perception. Once safety is established, again, we can support bile flow. We need the adequate dietary fats, not ultra low fat or not excessive fats, but just enough so we can work on triggering that bile to be released. Bitters can help before you eat, getting in that proper protein intake, making sure we might need some gallbladder support, and suggested to have a regular meal rhythm. Our lymph, I've talked about, only moves through diaphragmatic breathing, muscle contraction, especially your calves, and hydrated fascia, getting those right minerals in the body, and parasympathetic tone. So walking, rebounding, strength training, mobility work, deep nasal breathing. Motility is needed, right? We need regular meal timing, enough magnesium, the right type of fiber, and I don't have people eat fiber if they have diarrhea. We want to make sure we have the right type of fiber matched to your tolerance, and reduce stress-induced constipation. So flow must be mechanical, and it's also neurological. So this matters at a cellular level for you to be fit and healthy on the outside, but most of you are not healthy on the inside. If inflammatory waste accumulates, the mitochondria, they detect danger, cell danger response. And when waste clears, our inflammatory signaling drops, our immune activation becomes online, and our hormones metabolize correctly. Our energy output improves from the mitochondria functioning at optimal levels, and flow in general restores the signal clarity. And signal clarity restores trust. So I know a lot of you are struggling with constipation, with bloating, histamine flares, hot flashes, stubborn fat, brain fog. Again, it's not the lack of effort. I find it can be, not for everyone, the lack of proper flow. So safety first, then flow, and then we can rebuild capacity. That is an important part of what we're talking about. And looking at how your body cannot regenerate in stagnation. Safety turns digestion back on. Flow clears the inflammatory noise. And when waste moves, your mitochondria increase output. So we need to understand your FutureYou Blueprint and what you can do, right? And working on getting safety first, then flow and rebuild. Get the right order. If you have any questions and want to learn more, if you have clues in your labs, even your blood work, looking at what you can do today to be your best self in the future, and don't wait until you have big, huge red flags. Don't wait until you're struggling with illness. Figuring out in advance, looking for those red flags. When we're ready, we can do the strength training, the protein timing, the zone 2, the intervals, the sleep, the circadian rhythm, mitochondria. But we have to get your system ready first. This is our signature foundational approach that I do with clients. We can't rebuild capacity before safety and flow. We need to get the right order. And this matters for you, the high performer, because you often jump straight into capacity. More training, more fasting, more cold, more sauna, more supplements. Safety is not established and flow is not restored. Capacity work becomes another source of chronic stress. This is why you feel stuck, you feel inflamed, you feel resistant, you're burned out, you skip the order. Again, safety first, flow, rebuild capacity. Building your FutureYou Blueprint isn't about adding more stressors. It's built by restoring cellular trust at the right order. So let me know if you have questions and how to get started on building your future self blueprint from within today. Ask me for the link for a free discovery call. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'm happy to hear you listening all the way to the end here to figure out what you can do today to be your best self in the future so you're thriving, not struggling, especially when we retire. Don't you want to be traveling and playing and having fun and doing all this stuff you haven't been able to do because you're working full time and having kids and being full-time parent? Now's the time to prepare your body for the end of life so you can have the most fun the last 10, 20, 30 years.
Thanks for listening to the Coach Debbie Potts Show. If today's episode sparked a light bulb moment, that's your sign to stop guessing and start building your personalized FutureYou Blueprint. You can learn more or book a discovery call at www.debbiepotts.net. Be sure to follow the show on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search Coach Debbie Potts. 2 T's. If this episode helped you, please subscribe, rate, and review. It's how we help more people age with strength, energy, and clarity. Until next time, remember, age is inevitable. How you age is not.